Well, looks like Monique has done it again. She did an interview with Shannon Sharpe on his podcast called Club Shay Shay. And as far as I was able to glean, even though the interview was about 3 hours long, Monique is very consistent. She's been telling the same story about Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and a few others. And she caused a lot of stir. But again, for me, it was more of the same. So, what are your thoughts on that? Did you hear anything different, Shori?
Yeah, I think Monique's really going into a lot of detail with sort of almost everyone she's had a beef with over the years. You know, Taraji, Oprah. She brought up some other people as well.
Well, she didn't have a beef with Taraji P. Henson. It was that Taraji complained about pay inequality. And when Monique did it years prior, Monique didn't, her message wasn't well received. But when Taraji P. Henson complained about the pay disparity, Taraji got more sympathy than Monique did.
Yeah. Now, I mean, to be honest, I think part of the issue is Monique is big in comedy, and then she had these acting roles. But when she decided not to do the promotion for that Precious movie in France, she didn't want to go to France without getting paid extra. I mean, that was her choice, and she can choose what to do with her career. But I think that was a big mistake, and in a way, the backlash or the sort of negative response that she's now since gotten, you know, she believes she's been blacklisted by Tyler Perry and by Oprah, but not.
Well, she was. I mean, I'm sorry, she was. She was.
Yeah, possibly she was, but in a way,
it didn't hurt the movie.
It could have, though. It could have. Maybe in Europe, it might have done an extra 5 or 10 million.
For a movie that she only got paid $50,000 to do, she did the movie as a favor. She only got paid $50,000. And she did what she was contractually bound to do. She didn't want to do extra. They didn't know the movie was going to be successful. And the movie was successful in spite of her not doing the added promotion. So they did blackball her because she didn't do what they wanted her to do. It did not hurt the movie. The movie was still successful, and she went on to win an Oscar without doing the promotion. So she was blackballed. That's what happens when you don't do what they want you to do, even though you get good results, you get good outcomes. The movie was very popular. It did very well, and it won an Oscar, at least one Oscar, because she won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar from it.
Yeah, that is all true. But don't you think, in a way, that's Tyler's, that's his right, and it's Oprah's right to decide, you know what, Monique, you're too difficult, I'm not going to work with you anymore. But it sounds from my perspective that Monique is saying, look, I stood up for myself, and I chose I'm not going to be doing free work, you know, I deserve to be treated better, and that's her choice. But then she's almost complaining when Tyler Perry and Oprah make their free choice as to how they're going to run their careers. I mean, they have no obligation to continue to hire her, and if they want to blacklist her, it's a bit unfortunate for her, but it's almost like they're running a business, and they have to choose who they want to work with. They get to choose who they want to work with as well.
They get to choose who they want to work with. They get to choose how they do business, but they should not be able to blackball someone just because she didn't do the extra that they asked her to do. It's not like she voided the contract. She did not go outside of any contractual agreement, because otherwise they could have sued her. She did a friend a favor. This was not a big Academy or award-winning movie that they knew was going to happen. They did not know that this movie was going to be successful as it was. That was a surprise. She did a friend a favor. You don't get a star of Monique's caliber, who was the star of a successful primetime TV show for years, to do a movie for $50,000. That is unheard of. So she was already being kind and generous. And for them to be upset with her for not doing the added promotion, I get it. But to blackball her and to lie on her, to say that she's difficult to work with, Monique never had a reputation for being difficult to work with. She was on primetime TV for years, and nobody ever said she was difficult to work with. But then she gets with these two black people, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and then all of a sudden, because she doesn't do extra when she's already basically volunteering at her level, doing a movie for $50,000, that's volunteer work. And because she didn't do extra, they not only were upset with her, they blacklisted her, and that was wrong. And they needed to admit that they were wrong. And Tyler Perry has apparently on a recording admitted he was wrong and that he lied on her. And Oprah Winfrey still has yet to take any accountability for the wrong that she did. They were wrong.
Can I ask, what TV show are you referring to that she had done before Precious?
The Parkers. A top-rated primetime TV show for years.
Now, was that like a comedy or a sort of family comedy or what
sitcom?
Kind of was that?
It was a sitcom. It was a spinoff of Moesha. Brandy had a successful show called Moesha, and The Parkers was a spinoff of Moesha.
Okay. Now, like again, I'm not trying to discredit Monique, but in a way, she was a comedy star. And she'd been in that film, The Queens of Comedy, or whatever, and she'd done her own comedy shows all over America, and then she'd been in a comedy TV show. But when she did Precious, that was a way for her to expand into like dramatic roles, And so I think she actually hurt her own career by not doing as much as she could to promote that movie, even if it meant maybe I would have preferred to have been paid more to go to France and promote this movie, but my manager made a mistake and he should have arranged that prior. It's too late now, so I'll go for free. I'll promote the movie in France, and then maybe she would get offers in the future to do a movie in England or in France to do a movie or something like this. So it would have built her own career in that dramatic film or TV space, because she was already, like you said, popular in comedy, but this was a different role, and maybe she could have been doing a movie every 2 years in non-comedy spaces, and so I think she did her stubbornness. I'm not doing it for free and this and that. That's a choice, but and I'm not saying it's right to blacklist people. If Oprah and Tyler told other people, don't hire her, that's wrong and that's unfair. But it's personally decided we're not going to hire you for Oprah projects or for any Tyler Perry projects. I think that's the price Monique pays for sort of being difficult, in my opinion, and not going along with what they wanted,
Well, it's easy for you and everybody else to sit back and say what somebody else should do with their time and with their energy and with their money. That's very easy. It's a very luxurious position to sit back and say what somebody else should do. The woman is an accomplished actress, because whether you are in a dramatic role or whether you're in a comedic role, you are acting. If you are on TV, if you are in movies, you are acting. And Monique did other movies before Precious, but it wasn't such a dramatic role as Precious. But for her to do a job for $50,000, she had already volunteered. She had already given that role her best, and the Academy recognized her for her efforts in that movie, which is why she has an Oscar. So she had already put in the work. She had already, portrayed that character as best that character could be portrayed. And she lived up to all of the terms of her contract. So to get mad at her for not doing extra.
But she's sort of treating it like, I do within, contract, so I'm done. But it's her fault too, even though she's not the producer. It's and I believe Whoopi said something along these lines. It's part of the thing to promote films. Now, she promoted them in America, but then she didn't want to go that extra step and go to Europe. Now, maybe they hadn't anticipated it being so successful, and so they didn't talk about Europe.
And that's their fault. And that is their fault. So we can blame Monique for what she should have and woulda, coulda done. But what about them? What is their responsibility? If they intended to promote the movie abroad, overseas, they should have put that in the contract.
Yeah. Well, speaking of contract, I think her husband being her manager is a bit of a difficulty too, because instead of the manager always just coming at from a business perspective, I get the sense that the manager is sort of a bit too emotionally connected, and also sometimes Monique probably tells the husband what to do or what she will or won't do. You know what I mean? So it's almost like they're being managed by emotion as opposed to just being managed by business. And if Monique says, I'm not going to do it, maybe to a different manager, she had a different manager who wasn't related to her, they'd probably say, come on, Monique, this is going to damage your career if you don't get a friends. Just go to Cannes and do the promotion. Yeah, and next time we'll always put in the contract. Because really her manager made a mistake by not stipulating, okay, I want to do this contract if it's over 10 million in box office or whatever, I want an extra 50,000. And if we go to European promotion tour, then we want an extra 50,000 for that. He could have done something like that, but he failed as well to do that. So in a way,
well, how are you going to ask for something if you don't know you're going to get it? How are you going to ask for something you have no idea whether you're going to get it or not, because it started off as a small project. It gained momentum. So it's amazing how people can say what Monique should have done and what her husband manager should have done, but where was Oprah's vision? Where was Tyler Perry's vision? This is their job. This is what they do. They should have had clear goals that they wanted to achieve for the movie. And if they had the clear goals in mind, Oprah and Tyler Perry, then they should have built in to her contract the obligation to promote overseas. So you're going to blame Monique for not anticipating all eventual outcomes, but you don't blame Tyler Perry and Oprah, whose job it is?
Well, I think they all four of them, Oprah, Tyler, Monique, and Monique's husband, the manager, they all share some responsibility in planning the contract better to say you have to go to Europe or you get extra money if you go to Europe. All that. But having said that, back in the 80s when there were direct to video films made by like Jean-Claude Van Damme and things, he would still go to, I know he's European background, but he would go to Europe and do all these sort of European TV shows to promote his film, even though the films were smaller. And he wasn't, you know what I mean? He didn't have Oprah behind him. He didn't have Tyler Perry.
And he had no prime time successful show. He didn't have a successful show either. He only had the movie. So everything he did, Jean-Claude Van Damme did to promote his movie because he had nothing else going. He had no other reputation. He had no other success in the industry. So Monique is different in that regard.
Yeah, but this is where I think Monique is, and this, I don't know if you're going to like this, but Monique isn't like in her early 20s or mid-20s, right? She's getting older, and two, she's in the black community and in comedy, but she's really widely known before Precious in dramatic roles, and she's really popular in the wider community. She's not like like a George Clooney or a Jennifer Aniston or one of those types.
She wasn't trying to be, was she? She wasn't trying to be, was she?
When you're not as big as that, you can't call the shots as much as you would possibly like to. Like I said, with Van Damme or Steven Seagal, these other guys who aren't as respected in the mainstream community, they know they have to put in more work and cheaper budgets and all that. Because they're not like you've got like Stallone and Schwarzenegger were the big guys in the superstar category, but below that you had Van Damme, Steven Seagal, these other guys would make direct video movies. Now, not doing that. I'm not going to Europe to promote. Then that would have damaged their career. So Monique is effectively shooting herself in the foot by being stubborn and I'm not going to do so. It's actually hurting her own career. And she should have seen that before they blacklisted it, because just the fact that she's going to refuse to promote it seems great. really crazy. She should have told her husband. This is what I think she should have done. She should have told her husband, okay, I'll go to Europe this time, but next time you must put in the contract any an extra pay and any gets nominated, and I get a bonus. Oscar work. She can build that into the contract, so then she'd always be ready to go somewhere if the film took off, you know?
Okay, so again, you're blaming Monique, and now Monique is supposed to blame her manager husband as well. And for that, Oprah and Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry bear no responsibility except in lip service only, because this was their movie. They directed it. They were in charge of it. They were the ones who arranged all of this overseas promotion. So they weren't responsible for anticipating anything. It's all down to Monique, and it's all down to her manager husband. That's your position, and that is most people's position. And again, she did a friend a favor. Okay, Jean-Claude Van Damme didn't have any success in the entertainment industry. If you've already been successful, if you're already a star, if you are lending your star power to a project, you don't feel beholden. You don't think that your career is going to be affected by it one way or another. You just want to show some camaraderie. You want to give an up-and-coming producer, director, whatever, some support, because I think this involved Lee Daniels. So I think this was his big deal.
I think part of the problem is Monique thinks she's a big star.
She is.
She's a medium star. I think part of the problem is Monique is under the impression that she does a stunt comedy and she's, sells, maybe goes to theatres with like 5,000 people or whatever, and she's in a comedy movie and she's on the TV market. She somehow thinks that means
Well, here again, I understand people have different positions on the matter, but I understand that Monique, a star in Hollywood, voluntarily did a movie to help the project. She took little next to nothing in terms of pay, which $50,000 is at her level. And she put a lot of energy and effort into doing the movie. She did the work. And she did everything she was asked to do contractually. So, because she didn't do extra for free, which would mean at her own expense, okay? Because it's not like she simply would not have gotten paid. She would have had to dip into her own money to buy tickets. She would have had to pay a stylist for her wardrobe, makeup, hair. She would have had to pay for her own hotel reservations, her travel. She would have had to pay for all of that herself. And so for her not doing all of that, because that would have easily cost her a big chunk of the $50,000 that she got paid to do the movie. So, I mean, yes.
Can I ask you this? Why do you think she agreed to do the film for only $50,000? Like you said, a favor for her friend, but
she wanted to help the project. See, this was her as a black actress, seeing black people trying to write, direct, produce a movie, and she wanted to lend her star quality to it to help them succeed. Monique didn't put anything on her career into this. She didn't think that this would make or break her career. She was just doing a favor, and no good deed goes unpunished. And see, this is what a lot of people aren't taking into consideration. You say she should have done the overseas travel. Do you have any idea how much that would have cost her? That would have come out of her pocket.
But can I say this? And this is sort of my point on it. She did get an Oscar out of it, So although she only got $50,000, she ended up getting an Oscar award
because of her work.
And an award yeah. But in a way, that means the entire thing is a massive success because now she's Monique Oscar Award winner. So that's a massive benefit for her career. That's probably worth 400,000, 500,000.
But the Oscar came. The Oscar came afterward. It came afterward. They wanted her to do all this free stuff before the Oscar. Before the Oscar. She didn't win an Oscar, and then they asked her, okay, we'll go and promote the movie. She had not won the Oscar yet. So you can't use the Oscar as a reason. That Oscar, it works more to her point, because even without her doing all of the overseas promotion, she still won the Oscar because the Academy doesn't look at how well you promoted. They look at the work you did actually in the film.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't write it down in the contract because they thought everyone was on the same page. That when you make a film, the stars don't promote it. That's what they do, and that's why all those Good Morning America, Today Show, they're constantly having guests on. Oh, George Clooney got a new film, or some new film. They had that woman from Girls Trip.
Tiffany Haddish.
Anyway. Yeah, they'll have her on it, and then she talk for 5 minutes, and it's an interview, and it's free promotion for her new film. So that's how the whole business works. So for them to...
She's not a star. Tiffany Haddish is not a star. She did not star in a prime time. She didn't come with star power.
Because Monique is getting a bit older, and so maybe women in their 20s don't connect with Monique as much. Maybe they did 20 years ago, but not now. So
she got an Oscar. She got an Oscar, so nobody needs to connect with her. The Academy connected with her, and they gave her an Oscar for her performance. That's all she needs. She doesn't need women who are in their 20s, because the women in their 20s don't award Oscars. The Academy does.
Yeah, but you imagine if you've got to do a film where it's just one star, and you've got the option of Tiffany Haddish or Monique. You're going to choose Tiffany.
No, I'm not. No, excuse me?
Because Tiffany will get more guys in because she's sort of more sexy. So I think...
That doesn't benefit me.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But she's probably appeals to women over 30 and black women. That's probably her main demographic. Black women over 30 seems to be Monique's main demographic, I believe. Whereas Tiffany Haddish probably gets more younger women and more guys appeal to her because of her looks. Now, I'm not saying that's fair, but I'm just saying that's part of the business because the looks is part of it. That's why the woman who was in those films with the bow and arrow, Hunger Games, that woman, she's a beautiful woman. So she's more likely to be a star than someone who's not a beautiful woman. And so it's only the handsome people like Brad Pitt more popular than some other guy that doesn't look as good. The looks is part of it to be a movie star. And so I think Monique was acting like a movie star when really she was a support role, and she could have kept getting filmed for the next 10 years, but instead she wanted to put her foot down. And again, you mentioned the black issue, and I think that's part of it. Monique was sort of taking a stand on behalf of black people, and maybe you can respect that and say, well, that's good. She stood up for what she felt was right, but she was sort of not a big enough star to do it. Like, when Muhammad Ali went to prison for standing up against the army, he was saying, this is my position, I'm going to stand up to it. And everyone knew about it. But Monique's not as big a star. So imagine if like a small-time boxer took a stand like that, most people wouldn't know about it. And similarly, a lot of people who are outside of following Monique aren't really going to know about the position she took, and they're just going to move on to watch the next movie with someone else. And so I think Monique really sort of inflicted damage on her own career,
Well, let me ask you this. How many Oscars does Tiffany Haddish have?
Yeah. I agree she hasn't done that.
Give me a nice round number, please. A nice round number.
Yeah, okay, zero. But she's more mainstream.
How sexy? Let me ask you, how sexy is Meryl Streep?
Her looks and her youth.
How sexy is Meryl Streep? Is Meryl Streep sexy? Is she youthful? Because she's an Oscar award winner, and she is an actress of the top tier. She's a top tier actress, an actress of the highest caliber. She is not sexy. She never has been. Okay, so Monique doesn't have to be sexy. So you're putting a standard on her that is it's rather it's a general standard, and I get what you're saying. But if that's not her thing, if being sexy or being appealing to women in their 20s, if that's not her thing, there is still a place in Hollywood where she can be very successful. And I just gave you an example in Meryl Streep. You cannot tell me that Meryl Streep appeals to women in their 20s because she's so young and sexy. She never has been.
Yeah, women, as Meryl's got older, film Mamma Mia, they made sure the film had some young, sexy people in it, like the woman who played her daughter in that Mamma Mia film. I don't know if you've seen that.
Did she get an Oscar for Mamma Mia? Did she get an Oscar for that?
No, I'm not sure, but
she was Meryl Streep before she did Mamma Mia. That's the thing. She was She was an Academy Award winning actress long before she did Mamma Mia. Okay, look at Glenn Close. Okay, Monique doesn't have to be young and sexy. If that's not her area of appeal, she can still be successful in Hollywood. I gave you now 2 examples.
Yeah, okay, but in a way, let's not forget when Glenn Close spoke through, it was with that Michael Douglas film, and she was sort of like the co-star in that film, and she was in her like maybe 30s or early.
And there was no sex appeal. She just looked crazy. I will not be ignored. Boiling Rabbits and Fatal Attraction. She wasn't sexy. She was the psycho.
I think she had tight-fitting tops. I think on maybe.
But she was never viewed as a sex symbol. She wasn't a sex symbol. Let's be honest.
She had a sort of sexual sort of excitement, I think. A bit like Sharon Stone in that other film with Michael Douglas, where they...
Sharon Stone is known for her sex appeal. Meryl Streep and Glenn Close are not. They have never been. I'm sorry. You can stretch it if you want, but no. Sharon Stone is a whole different animal.
Yeah. No, look, let's just clarify. I'm not saying she has to be sexy. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying, and I agree with you that there are stars who aren't sexy, right? But what I'm saying is it certainly helps if you're trying to launch your career in movies to have that sex appeal, because otherwise you sort of more get relegated to support roles, like those old men that play support roles in those Harry Potter films where you play like a wizard or you play something like that. Yeah, sure, you might get 20 years work with a long grey beard playing a wizard, but you're not starring in a film where you're carrying the whole film yourself like a younger person can. A person who sort of becomes a star in their 20s or 30s, like a Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts type people, they can then get older and then play roles for Meryl Streep, because Meryl Streep started becoming a star in her 20s or 30s. I don't know exactly when, but she did like Kramer versus Kramer, things when she was a more younger woman. So if you break through when you're in that age, people will follow your career.
Monique did. Monique did. She did break through when she was in her 30s. No. When she broke through in Hollywood, not in this movie. See, Monique wasn't trying to launch her career from this movie. That's the thing. She was already a successful actress in Hollywood. She did not do Precious to launch her acting career. She did it as a favor for a friend. So when you put that extra added incentive that didn't exist, then you mischaracterize Monique and what she was doing. She said very clearly she was doing a friend a favor, which is why she agreed to do the role for $50,000. This was not a movie that she was trying to launch any new aspect of her career from. They didn't even know the movie was going to be successful. This was a pleasant surprise for them.
But she seems to say blackboard. What if she's still in the past on TV? Or what is she comedy love?
Okay, you're breaking up.
Sorry. What is her main? Is it the Parkers still continuing, or what is?
It's in syndication. The Parkers is in syndication. So that's how successful that show was. It was a top-rated primetime TV show for years. Okay, and she had done other movies, but this was the most dramatic role that she had played. But she lent her star quality to a small project that nobody knew was going to be successful. And I understand that they were upset that she didn't do the added promotion. And she, it's to me, it's a personal decision, because you're talking about her spending her money. Because look, promoting a movie is not free. So where would you propose that she get the money to pay for travel and accommodations and a stylist and all of that? Where was she supposed to get that money from?
Okay, well, if she is such a star and she's in Parkers and all that, she should be worth a couple of million by now. So couldn't she just use her own 20,000-30,000 to go to Europe and with a stylist?
If she wanted to, but what was her obligation?
Imagine if Brad Pitt said to George Clooney, "Hey, come over to Europe. I'm having a birthday party." Is he going to tell? Is George Clooney going to say, "Oh, well, you better give me the money for the airfare. I'm not giving you my money"? He's got enough money. He'll pay for his own flight. And if
that is his choice, though. But that's his choice. If he doesn't want to, I would not hold it against him if he doesn't want to. But if he does want to, by all means, make it happen. See, that's the difference between me and a whole bunch of other people. I am not mad at Monique for not doing what she was not contractually obligated to do when she was already doing these people a favor by being in the movie in the first place.
Yeah, but okay, I accept your perspective, but I think Monique should have looked at it. This is good for my career. I'm going to go to Europe, even though it will cost me a bit of money, because it will help me maybe get an audience in France and in some other European countries which maybe haven't heard of me yet. Because I know you know Parkers, but not everyone in Europe would be watching the Parkers.
And not everyone in Europe knows about Precious. Not everyone in Europe knows about Precious.
But once she goes over there and talks about Precious and says, it's about this and that, and people, she may gain a new audience in that market, which then could maybe even lead to comedy tours there in the future. So she
But how about the movie was successful even without her doing that? So are we going to ignore the fact that even though she did not do the promotion overseas, the movie still gained a lot of popularity and she still won an Oscar? Are we going to forget the positive outcomes that were enjoyed even though she didn't do the promotion? Because, you're acting like, she could have done the promotion and it could have been a big thing. It was a big thing. It was a big deal and it was successful, even though she didn't do the promotion. So who's to say how much of a difference that extra promotion would have made? I know it would have made Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry happy. And here's the thing. Again, I can understand Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry being disappointed that Monique didn't do the added promotion. I can understand that. Okay. What I do not agree with is blacklisting her. See, that's the difference. You can be disappointed in someone, but to lie on her, because it was a lie to say she was difficult to work with, because if she was so difficult to work with, why would they even want her to do any added promotion? Why would they want her to do anything over and above what she was contractually bound to do if she was so difficult? So to turn around and lie on her and to make it so that other people don't want to hire her was wrong. That was wrong. That was unnecessary. And it's a prime example of how Black people are their own worst enemy. She didn't have white people running around saying, and then white people are the ones who run Hollywood. Okay. Not Black people. They weren't running around saying Monique was difficult. She was hard to work with and she was uncooperative. It was Black people. And then, like you said, Whoopi added on to it.
and just for the audience's perspective, you're a black woman yourself, so you feel you have an understanding of that sort of situation.
And even if I was a purple woman, the truth is the truth, no matter who speaks it.
Yeah, but can I ask you this, and then I'll have to go soon, but, you know, she said she's blacklisted. Does she mean Oprah no longer hires me and Tyler no longer hires me? Or does she mean Oprah no longer hires me, Tyler no longer hires me, and other people in the black entertainment or even in the wider entertainment industry aren't hiring me? Does she think it's extended beyond those two as being blacklisted, or does she just mean those two aren't hiring me?
No, she said she was blackballed and that nobody would hire her. She wasn't trying to work with Oprah and Tyler Perry again after what they put her through. Okay, because of course they were in a disagreement. They were, in a dispute. So she didn't want to work with Oprah or Tyler again necessarily, but she was blacklisted in Hollywood because when you get as an actress or an actor a reputation of being difficult to work with, and black people are saying you're difficult to work with when we know black people will put up with just about anything because the standard is lower, then of course other people are going to say, well, if they're saying, if Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry are saying she's difficult to work with, nobody's going to hire her. And that's exactly what happened. Nobody was hiring Monique. Nobody.
But do you think if Spielberg or if Clooney, because Clooney produces films too, if he was about to make a film about like American Family, and he wanted a black woman to play the mother or the neighbor or the aunt, or you think if they were looking at that, they're going to think, oh, well, I would have hired Monique, but Oprah told me not to, or Tyler said not to, or Tyler said she's difficult, so I won't. Do you think that much difference in these?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because George Clooney is not going to go against Oprah Winfrey. And going against Tyler Perry is the same thing as going against Oprah Winfrey, because those two are like peas in a pod. So no, nobody's going to go against Oprah Winfrey for Monique. Nobody is going to stand by Monique, who owns a studio, movie studio, or who's a director or producer. They're not going to go against the juggernaut called Oprah Winfrey for Monique. That's not the hierarchy.
But what about the studios of the Warner Brothers, the Peacock,
They don't hire black people very much anyway. So you think for them not hiring black people at that much anyway, they're going to do it and go against Oprah Winfrey at the same time? No, they're not doing that.
I think back when Oprah had her own TV show all the time and constantly, and maybe they won't. Someone wants to make a new movie, they know they want to get onto Oprah to talk about it, and if Monique's had a fallout with Oprah, they're not going to hire her. But Oprah doesn't have a TV show anymore.
She has a movie studio. She's bigger now. She's Harpo Productions. She doesn't need a TV show. TV show is small time. She graduated from that. Oprah Winfrey is Harpo Productions. She's bigger. She is the black version of Warner Brothers in Hollywood. That's who she is.
Yeah. Well, a smaller version.
She's the black version, so of course that's smaller. I said the black version, so the black version is not going to be equal to or greater than.
But I just don't believe that. I don't know the names of all the studios, right? But the people who make the big, like even the people who made that Girls Trip with Tiffany Haddish. Have you seen that film?
No.
And it had Will Smith's wife, and it had a number. It had like 4 or 5 black actresses, and they went on a girls' trip, or that Shannon, who makes those comedy films, like he produced Bridesmaids, that big film that, I mean, I think if some of these other people who are producers wanted to make a film and wanted to get Monique, I think they would still hire her. I think.
See, you think they would, but did they? But did they do it? Did they? Do you have any examples of anybody who said, you know what? If I had a project, I would hire her. Nobody. They didn't hire her. See, you can deal. Let's just deal with what actually happened, because you're delving in hypotheticals. Okay. The fact is, she didn't get hired. She didn't get any jobs. That's not hypothetical. That's
yeah, but before Precious, she wasn't getting offered. Like
she did movies before Precious. You didn't follow her career that closely. She did movies before Precious. That wasn't her first time doing them. No. She did other movies like what you would see on like Lifetime TV. She did like chick flicks. She did movies before Precious.
Okay, but this was her first sort of like
very dramatic role. This was her first time in a dramatic where she was a down and out somebody. She always portrayed working class women. Her characters were always working class women. Okay, this was the first time she portrayed herself as somebody who was on welfare, a ghetto, down and out type of person. This was her first time ever portraying a character in that light.
But I think simultaneously, Monique's getting older, and there's a lot of sort of focus on image in entertainment, and so I think her career was probably had already peaked back with the Parkers, and so although she's not getting the work now and she's attributing that to the blacklist, I think maybe it would have gone on the downside of the hill. Anyway,
well, okay, if it was going to go on the downside of the hill, she didn't need to be blacklisted then. She didn't need to be blacklisted if she was on the down end of her career, if she was on the downturn, okay, then there was no need to blacklist her. You could have just shut up. And let fate play itself out. But they blackballed her by lying on her. Now, let's not gloss over that part. They lied on her. They lied on Monique and said she was difficult to work with. It was Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels. They lied on Monique. And I'm taking a stand against that.
Okay, but did you see that in the full interview with Shannon Sharpe?
Yes.
She is a bit difficult, and he's the host of the show.
What was she difficult on?
Hang on. Well, she's saying, hang on, let me tell you this. And she's reaching out to other cast and saying, hey, you heard this said, didn't you? Like she's pulling in witnesses from the crowd. She sort of acts like the boss of the show when she's a guest.
Did you not see Cat Williams who went on before her? Did you not see Cat Williams, the comedian who went on? Okay, and he didn't do the same thing? So is Cat Williams difficult?
Yeah, well, maybe he is a bit difficult. In a way, both of them have spilled the beans on private conversations from behind, and if Cat Williams get back, he can't say, oh, it's not fair because all I did was talk all this private stuff about people and talk negatively about people, and then why he wouldn't be surprised if people are going to not want to work with him. Some people, Sure, he'll still have fans, and maybe these hardcore fans, they'll like him even more. They'll think, oh, good on you for standing up for yourself. And same with Monique. Monique may have some core fans who actually admire her more, but then for the other people who are potentially going to hire someone, they would think, well, when I hire the guy from Big Mama's house, Big Mama,
Martin Lawrence? Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, will I hire Martin Lawrence for a film, or will I hire Cat? I'll hire Martin Lawrence because he's less. He's not going to spill the beans on private conversations. Similarly with Monique, they'll think, oh, should I hire Monique for a film or should I hire Tiffany Haddish? I think I'll go for Tiffany because she's got maybe more appeal and she's not going to go around telling secrets or unloading private conversations with.
Well, Cat Williams, unlike Monique, the difference with Cat Williams is he doesn't care. Okay, Cat Williams does not care about people not liking him or people not preferring him. Cat Williams would not care about being blacklisted, blackballed. He wouldn't care about that. Monique does care about that, and she did endure that. And my whole point is this. I can understand Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels being disappointed that Monique made the decision, which was well within her rights, not to do the added press tour. I understand their disappointment in that because when you have a project, you want everybody to put their all into it, even if it does go above and beyond their job description, even if it does go above and beyond their contract. Okay? That would be the ideal. But if a person is already extending themselves, and they're already lending their star power, and they choose not to do extra, there is room and there is reason for disappointment. To lie on her, to blackball her, is wrong. And I say that with no rationalizations and no justifications for what they did. That was wrong. Why couldn't they be professional? Why couldn't Oprah and Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry be professional and realize that, hey, if we wanted extra from her, we, the employers, should have put it in her contract, because that's who bears the primary obligation, even though you tried to put it on Monique and her manager husband. The primary responsibility for putting clauses and contracts is the employer, not the employee. So my whole thing is, just don't blacklist her. Don't blackball her. Don't lie on her and say she's difficult. Because Monique's personality, and I can tell you this from having watched her for a very long time, her personality is the same. As a matter of fact, Monique is a lot nicer now than she was a long time ago. Okay? But anybody who hires her knows that about her. So if you hire a Monique, you know what kind of disposition and what type of attitude you are taking on. So nobody's hiring Monique to be passive. That is not her persona. That's not the type of black woman she is. That's not the type of comedian she is. That's not the type of actress she is. She's been hired for that personality.
Yeah, you make good points, Denise. I'll finish with this. When she did a Netflix comedy thing, she also came out and revealed that she had negotiations, and she only got, I think, I don't know, it was 100,000 or some 200,000, some small amount compared to, that blonde woman,
Amy Schumer. I think Amy Schumer.
She got a couple of million or something like that. And she sort of made a bit of a scene about that as well. So she made a scene about that and revealed private negotiations. Now she's made a scene about this Tyler Perry and Oprah and revealed private conversations. I think by doing that, that's causing her to be considered difficult, not just because Tyler or Lee Daniels or Oprah said it, but just the fact that she's out there spilling all this private information. If you have someone out there spilling private information, I mean, that's her right. But who in the future is going to think, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a private negotiation with her? Why would they want to do that? Because they know there's a good chance if the negotiation goes sour that one party is going to run up to the media and talk about it and blab it all out.
Well, if you don't lie,
Shannon Osbourne, Shannon Osbourne that was on The Talk, that. Yeah, she used to go around saying stuff behind the scenes and causing problems. Now, part of that can be exciting for the TV if it's behind the scenes information, but it could also be a bit make other people wary of dealing with them because they think whatever I say is going to be leaked out in 5 years if something goes bad.
Well, yeah, and the thing about it is, if you don't lie and if you're on the up and up, you don't mind things going public. It's only when you lie and you deceive and you deal unethically that you need things to be kept such secret, especially when you're dealing with contracts, because everything is in writing. And if it is in writing, it can be shared at some point. Somebody can see it at some point. So, yeah, I totally get your point about, not wanting to be difficult and all of that. But Monique did not have a reputation for being difficult. It was only after she, had this disagreement with Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Lee Daniels that they characterized her as difficult. But even with Netflix, even though she, initially they made her an offer that she didn't think was fair, from an economic standpoint. Apparently, from what I hear, and I'm not sure about this, but apparently from what I hear, Netflix settled with Monique and they gave her a special. So if Netflix was dealing with her on the up and up and they were doing everything legal, and Monique didn't have a point and Monique wasn't right, Why would they ever settle with her? Why would Netflix settle with her and give her a special? Seems to me like some people have backed up. And Tyler Perry, to your point about, her leaking information, Tyler Perry apologized to her. And he did admit that he lied on her. And Lee Daniels publicly apologized to Monique. So if Monique was wrong, and if she was difficult, and if she was so out of order, and if she was so out of line, why are these people apologizing to her and giving her settlements and giving her specials? Why is that happening?
Yeah, but you make a point. But I will say the fact that she even raised in comparison her and
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. See, Amy Schumer was in that. I'm not a fan of Amy Schumer, right? But she's younger, and she had a TV show, I think, on MTV or some show where she, did little skits and things like that.
It could never compare to the Parkers, but the Parkers was a long time ago. I granted.
Okay, but then as well as that, Amy Schumer's that Trainwreck movie.
No Oscars, but Monique has one.
Not Oscar worthy.
Okay.
Like a lot of buzz and it made like 100 million. Although since then, her second film, I don't think they went very well. But the fact that she was sort of like flavour of the month. Now that's part of why she got a big deal from Netflix. They don't sort of sit there and think, oh, who's the most significant comedian for the last 20 years? Let's give them the highest payback. They've always interested in who's creating buzz and who's getting attention, and let's give Amy Schumer special. And Monique was looking at it like, hang on, I've been a comedian for 20 years and I should have been given the same deal.
She did Queens of Comedy, which was hugely successful. Monique did Queens of Comedy.
I mean, that's true, but if Monique is so big and still flavour of the month, she could go make her own film or could do some special for HBO or some other network. But like coming out and sort of complaining that they didn't offer her a bigger deal, that seemed a bit unprofessional and sort of.
Well, you know what? That's part and parcel of the civil rights movement, because you could say that Black people don't have to take what's offered to them. Well, there were times, and there still are times now. There were times then, and there are times now where Black people don't get a fair shake. And so if Monique could draw comparisons and say what Amy Schumer is getting, which was not offered to her or whatever, that's Monique's right. It's freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression. Now I get it. Amy Schumer is a different person in a different position, offering something different in the form of entertainment with a different audience. Okay, so I get all of that. But when you are dealing with an actress who has the level of success that Monique has, and all of that means something. Okay, it means something when you are the star of a primetime TV show that was on for years, that is now in syndication. That means something. It means something when you star in a movie and you win an Oscar. That means something. So by all other measures in Hollywood, what Monique achieved should have enabled her to receive better offers. But here again, she had been blackballed. Look at the time frame of everything. That Netflix special came after the breakdown in negotiations, came after she was labeled difficult. It came out so she was lowballed just from that alone, just from being accused of being difficult by Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels. Netflix, I believe, exploited that situation and felt like, we don't care what she's achieved in the past. We can give her the lowest offer that we can give her, and she can take it or leave it. Well, she left it, but she complained about it, and she did leak, like you said, she leaked all the details about it, and they settled with her. So, Shori, what does it tell you when Netflix, after all this time, after everything she's done, everything Monique has said, they settled with her and gave her a special?
Yeah, but did we find out how much? She probably didn't still get as much as Schumer for that, And I think
But is that the standard, though? Is that the standard today? Amy Schumer can't get the money today. Amy Schumer could not get the contract she got back then. Like you said, time goes on. Isn't Amy Schumer getting older? Isn't she not as attractive as she used to be? Or if she was ever attractive, I don't know. But I mean, come on. Now you counted all of those physical characteristics against Monique. Does that not apply to Amy Schumer as well?
But you know, and it does, and I think that's why I think Amy Schumer was overhyped, and that's why only one film went big, and then after that, it sort of faded a lot. But see, Monique is sort of, I think Monique is a bit. I'm not sure if saying somewhere difficult is almost interpreted by Monique and maybe by you as well as being a bit like saying an angry black. You know the term of the angry black woman, sort of like a trope or sort of.
No, I get it, and I would agree. I would agree that she is an angry black woman.
Offended, the people offended or annoyed that they're called that. Now, I'm not calling her that, but what I'm saying is she is sort of strong-willed and she does like to do things her way. It's like, Roland Martin. Roland Martin used to work at MSNBC or CNN, something like that. But you can tell by his personality as well. He's a guy who likes using his way, and he will constantly be arguing with management. And he's the boss of his own network like he is now. So he's better suited at being his own guy and run his own show. Same with, Vicky Diller.
Yeah, what's her title? What's your Vicky's title? What is Vicky Diller's title? Because I got a few for you, but I won't say it. What's her title, Shorey?
But she used to work with some other YouTube channels, Afro Diaspora and Dr. Voice, things like that. But I think she had some conflict or difficulty with them as well with regard to contracts or getting a proper pay. And so she ended up breaking away from that. And some people, their personality is a bit more, they're not as much a team player, they're more like a leadership. I'm going to do it my way. And that works for them if they're running their own business or they're running their own network like Roland does, like Oprah runs her own network or Tyler runs his own network. So Tyler works at Warner Brothers. It probably mightn't work either because he likes to do things his way. And so
Roland Martin doesn't have his own network. Roland Martin doesn't have his own network. He doesn't have his own network.
He has his own YouTube channel.
Oh, that's YouTube. So you can say everybody has. I have my own network too. Then I mean that's YouTube. I'm talking about on TV. He's on a news station on TV.
Yeah, but maybe Monique needs to tell her husband, let's set up a small production company. We'll get some scripts into us, and we'll make our own film and investors, and I'll be in the film, and we'll get it made. We'll hire a producer, hire a director, and we'll get the films made of our own.
Where's that money supposed to come from? Where's the money supposed to come from? I'm sorry?
She can go to like a venture capital.
She's difficult to work with. Who wants to displease Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and not Lee Daniels so much, but who wants to go against Oprah Winfrey giving her a loan, giving Monique a loan? Who's going to do that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the box that Monique has painted herself in, because what she's done is basically said, I'm not a team player, I'm a solo person who's going to look out for myself at all times. And then,
but she explained the situation to her.
She needs to run her own, she needs to be a massive star and can do that, or she needs to create her own projects by becoming a producer or a co-producer on her own films.
Well, she probably could have done that had she not been blackballed. See, that's what it gets back to. So I will characterize her as being an angry black woman because she lent her star quality to a small project, and because she wouldn't go above and beyond what she was required to do, she got blackballed. They lied on her. So she has reason to be angry. Her anger is justified. Because look, again, you can disagree with people, but don't lie on them. And they lied on Monique. That I'm not going to let you skate around that. You have to stand on that.
She's difficult. If they say she's difficult, that's true. Because I think she's difficult.
If she was difficult, why did they take her on in the first place? Nobody in Hollywood called Monique difficult until they did it. She was on a TV show for years. She was the star. It was a top-rated primetime show. If ever there was a time for her to be difficult, that would have been the time for her to pull the diva card. She didn't. She was in movies before. Nobody called her difficult. I'm telling you this. Nobody called Monique difficult in all the projects. Monique did movies. Monique did stand-up comedy. Monique was the star of a primetime TV show for years. She did the Queens of Comedy, which was a national tour. It was a stand-up comedy show, and they toured all over the country. Nobody called her difficult. So through all of that, nobody called her difficult. But you're saying now she's difficult. But wouldn't a person become difficult if they were mistreated? People become difficult when they're mistreated. People become angry when they're lied on.
That's a good one. I agree. That's a good one. All right. Well, Denise, thanks for having me on the show, and I'd be interested to see what the listeners in the comments about.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to agree with you because it is a negative situation and it's been going on for years. And like I said, Monique has been telling this story for years and it doesn't get any better. And I would like to follow up with you because Monique's eldest son has come out and done a YouTube video. Well, it could have been Instagram, but he did a social media video talking about his estranged relationship with her. So, for all of the complaining that Monique does, it seems like she's got a bevy of personal problems in addition to the professional problems she has. And it could get back to what you're saying, being difficult, being angry, being negative. Sometimes that takes on a life of its own and it breeds itself. So we will follow up with that later, but Monique has done it yet again, still at it, still telling the same stories. So we'll keep an eye on the situation and see how things pan out.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in to our discussion about Monique's interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. If you enjoyed this discussion, if you agree or you disagree with what you heard, please put it in the comments. And while you're at it, please click the like button. It helps the channel. And if you have not already, please subscribe. Thank you very much and have a good one.